Hello listeners and viewers, welcome to Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and TV e-learning program designed for our SS3 and other students staying at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The present administration under the able leadership of His Excellency, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai is positioned as always to ensure that under his leadership, our students are not left behind in all areas of human endeavors, especially education. Kaduna State is the center of learning. Therefore, we want to ensure that our students excel in their forthcoming examinations and beyond. Students and other learners at home are given this opportunity in order to continue learning, as education is a continuous process. Different subjects will be taught in this program to assist students to perform excellently in the forthcoming Senior School Certificate examination being conducted by NECO and WAEC as soon as schools reopen. Teachers making presentations will always provide their names and phone numbers during each presentation, and they can be contacted for questions, further explanations, and/or clarifications. The following numbers and contacts can also be reached for expression of any concern or observation: 090-865-00545 or 080-383-62072. Our website is www.education.kdsg.gov.ng. Our email education@kdsg.gov.ng or education.kdsg@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Our Twitter handle @Kaduna_MOE. Or our Facebook page, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Stay safe, stay at home, and learn well. Thank you, happy listening, and happy viewing.
Hello, students. Welcome to e-learning of today. I am Ruth Tonko Godwin, your civic teacher for today. But before I start my lesson, I have a question for you. What do you think will happen if somebody comes to your community or come to your family and said he wants to control you? He wants to dictate whatsoever you are going to do, how you will sleep, how you will eat, and what you will do. What do you think you will call that person? I know, my learners, you will say that person is a bully. Some of you will say that person is wicked. Some of you will call the person a lot of different names. Well, we can say that person is a terrorist. For those of you that may call that person a terrorist, you are right. And that takes us to our lesson of today, which is terrorism. Our topic of today is terrorism. But before we continue, let us look at the meaning of that concept. What is terrorism? Terrorism is unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims or religious ideology. We can also define it as the unlawful use of force or violence against persons or property to intimidate or coerce a government of its citizens to further certain social, political, or religious objectives. In a layman language, we can also say terrorism in its own broad sense is the use of intentional violence for social, political, or religious purpose. Well, my learners, you can also define it as, in a way you will understand it or in your own language. But what you have at the back of your mind is use of violence, use of force, use of threat, use of fear. If a group of persons use that to intimidate others we'll call it terrorism. Like what you always say in school, you say bully. This one, we call it terrorism. Now, we've been able to see the meaning of terrorism. Next, we are going to look at the types of terrorism. We have different types of terrorism. The first one here is state-sponsored terrorism. What do we mean by state-sponsored terrorism? This consists of terrorist act by a state or government against the state or its citizen. A state or government may help spread their ideologies against its citizens. For example, the Russian revolutionary ideology of communism against the Russian people. In a layman language, I would say this type of terrorism is sponsored by the state. It's the government that are the terrorists of the day. They instill fear. They force the citizen, bringing ideology that is not comfortable with the citizen. Such kind of terrorism, we call it state-sponsored terrorism. Another type of terrorism we have is dissent terrorism. These are the type of terrorism whereby we have terrorist groups which have labeled against their government, the militant group who are agitating against certain government policy. They pick up arms against the government and disrupt the process of the government. This type of terrorism is a group of people that team themselves together. They go against whatsoever that is the ideology of the government. They go against them. Whatsoever that is the policy of the government, they go against it. They rise against the government. They want to instill fear, threat the government so that the government will do things that satisfy them, not what is good for the nation. This type of terrorist group, we call them dissent terrorism. Then let's go to another type of terrorism, which is political terrorism. Violent criminal behavior designed primarily to generate fear in the community for political purposes. Well, my learners, you are witness of what sometimes happens in the political arena. You find out that a group of people come together to instill fear, to threaten people, so that they will do what they want them to do, to be able to get the seat, the political seat, by force, forcing the ideology on people to instill fear so as to achieve their political aim. Such kind of terrorist group is known as political terrorists. Then we have another terrorist type, which is religious terrorism. These are terrorist groups that want to impose their religious ideology. They are extremely religious motivated. This type of terrorist group, they are not after the politics of the country. They are not after the economic of the country. They are after their religious belief. They will want to force everyone to follow their religious belief, whether you like it or not. And they do that by instilling fear in the society, by instilling fear in the citizen. They force you, they threaten you, they coerce you into following their religious belief. Such type of terrorism is called religious terrorism. My learners, I know by now you have understood the kind of the type of terrorist group we have, and you can reflectively look at your community or your nation to be able to see if you have one or two types of those terrorist groups in your society. Now, why do you think these terrorist groups go about doing what they are doing? Why do you think they do what they feel like doing? And that leads us to causes of terrorism. What do you think is the causes of terrorism? Number one, adoption of particular political philosophy or ideology. You find out that some government pick a particular ideology or policy which is not suitable to the citizens, or which do not go well with some part of the citizen, And with that, they feel their rights are not protected. They feel they are not getting what they want from the government. They feel the government are not representing them enough. And with that, they team themselves up against the government and begin to threaten the government and begin to do activities that will make the government to be afraid, and also for the government to dance to their tune. And with that, you find that you have such kind of terrorist group. Another causes of terrorism, my learners, we can see is spread of dominance of a particular religion. Just like I gave you the example of types of terrorism. One of the causes is when a particular group of people with a particular religion feel that they must force everyone to follow their own belief. And with that, the people will not be happy. And if they want to fight back, they also team themselves to make up a particular terrorist group. And that, you find out that we'll have different groups of terrorism springing up. And of course, you know, it is not good for the nation. Then another causes of terrorism is responding to violent acts. When this terrorist movement is coming up, just like I told you about the issue of religion, and the people are not happy. They are not happy seeing what is happening. They look at it that they are forced to do what they don't want to do. And because of that, they are violated, their rights are violated, they are being coerced, they are being threatened, and dictatorship is the order of the day. They have no choice but to also team themselves up, believing they are fighting for their human rights. And with that, terrorism will be the order of the day. Another causes of terrorism is subjugation of particular population, profound injustice or indignity. I take that again. Subjugation of a particular population, profound injustice or indignity. Just as explained earlier, some part of the nation feel they are being cheated, or their dignity is trampled upon, or their right is not protected, and they feel cheated. With that, they will look at it that they do not have any reason to obey the government of the day. Instead, they should go against the government of the day, so that they will force the government of the day to do what they want them to do, so that they will force the government of the day to protect their human rights, so that they will force the government of the day to do what they feel is right for them. And with that, you find out that when they team up and begin to fight, they now become threats to the government, and that we can say they are terrorist group because they are terrorizing the government. Well, my learners, when you look at it from what we have been discussing all through, you find out that terrorism is not what should be allowed in the society. You find out that terrorism is an evil in the society. You find out that terrorism is not something that any society will pray to have. And that leads us why we should say it is something that is an evil that should not be allowed in a society. We will say that by the time we look at the effect of terrorism, you will agree with me that terrorism is a situation where no country will pray to have such kind of situation. Effect of terrorism. How do terrorism affect our society negatively? Number one, direct economic destruction of properties and lives. Direct economic destruction of properties and lives. Of course, wherever there is violence, you know, the necessary evil is that lives and property will be destroyed. So if we allow any terrorist activities to take place in our society, we are definitely sure that lives and property will be wasted. Another effect of terrorism is instability in government. Instability in government. These terrorist activities is so bad that if they are allowed to be strong, they normally overthrow the government. They normally kick the government out of its power and they set up their own power. So you find out that while you are having a government going on, you have another government which will be controlled by that terrorist act. And maybe another terrorist group will also spring up later to also remove that government. If they become powerful, they will also remove that government, unseat them and sit on their throne. And with such kind of situation, of course, you will know that there will be instability in governance in the society, which none of us we want to have such situation. The next effect of terrorism is it creates market uncertainty. Of course, market can only be there and be stable when there is peace. And with the effect or with the situation of terrorism, there will be no market that will be free. Because today, the country will be in inflation. Tomorrow, it will go out of inflation. Another day, it will be in another situation. So even the people that want to invest in that society, we want to set up a business in that society. Because of uncertainty, they will not want to set up the business. And so the market will be fluctuating. It will not be certain. There will be no way, there will be even market control or price control. And of course, you know what I mean. Economically, there will be nowhere to be found. The next effect of terrorism, my learners, is retard both economic and structural development in the country. Our previous topic said market uncertainty. Now, if there is market uncertainty, it will give back to this point that I'm trying to make, retarding both economic and structural development in the country. When the market is full of inflation, the market is fluctuating, there will be no way the economy will develop. No one will want to come and invest in your country. No one will want to do any business with you. And if no one wants to invest in your country, there will be no savings, there will be no investment, there will be no development. Economically, you will just be down and nothing to write home about. So you see how terrorism will affect the economic situation of your country. Another effect, bad effect of terrorism is xenophobia. What do you mean by xenophobia? Hatred for some sect of people. If a particular sect gang up themselves and become terrorists, and everybody know them, have already labeled them as terrorists, you find out that people that are from that sect, even if they are innocent, they will be hated. My dear learners, you are a good example of what happened in South Africa. Despite the fact that the Nigerians are not the terrorist group there, but they were hated. And because of that, so many of them lost their lives and property. So that will also happen to any group that team themselves to become terrorists of the society. That particular set of people will be seen as evil. Even if anybody who is innocent come out of that set and has a sincere intention, other people will hate that person and want to do away with that person. They look at that person as if he's an evil person. And so what the effect is, he will be hated, or such group of people will be hated by all. Another one, which is very serious, which will affect the society and even outside, is loss of tourism and revenue accruing to the economy. My learners, you know, there are lots of income, there are lots of revenue that is gotten from tourism. People come from other countries to come and see the natural resources you have in your society. They want to enjoy the beauty of your terrain. They want to see it and have something to go and say in their country. And when they come, they pay. The hotels gain, the local market gain from them, and other sectors gain from these activities of tourism. But if your country has this situation of terrorism, they will be afraid to come to your country. Nobody will want to come to your country because they are afraid of their lives and property. And with that, your government, your society will lose the income they are supposed to get from terrorism. All in the name of, they are supposed to get from this tourism, all in the name of terrorism or the activities of terrorism. Well, my learners, we've just seen how this activity of terrorism is so bad that can affect our society negatively. And since we have realized that, how can we solve this problem? What can we do to make sure that there is no terrorist activities in our society? And that leads us to solution to terrorism. My learners, I know as you are listening and watching me, I know some of you have already come up with solutions, which is very good because you have seen that this is a situation we will never want to have in our society. And that takes us to the solution to terrorism. Well, I know you have your own solution, but let me tell you mine. Let's go. Number one, try to address the underlying conflict issues exploited by the terrorists and work towards peaceful resolution. Yes, this terrorist group always have what they want. They always have what they are accusing the government on. They always have what they are agitating for. So one of the ways you can solve this problem is to call them to round table. Try to listen to that issues that bring conflict between the government and that group. Sit down in a round table and try to peacefully come to resolution. You shouldn't just go straight to fighting them, but look at their problem. Look at what they are agitating for. Then you come to a peaceful resolution. And with that, they will be happy, you will be happy, all of you will shift ground, and everything will go on smoothly, and it will be happy ending for everyone. Another way we can solve terrorism is establish an early detection and early warning intelligence system against terrorism and other violent crimes on the interface between organized crime and political conflict. My learners, in a simple language, what I mean by this point is that you should have structure on ground whereby the grievances of the citizen in the society will be dictated earlier, taking it to the government. Let the government know what is the grievances of the people, which part of the society are not happy with their ideologies or their policies, and to hear why they are not happy. Before it will get to a violent stage, the government should be able to quickly take care of it. Just like a mother will not wait until the child is hungry and begin to cry before she feeds the child with milk. The mother should be able to know when the child is hungry to give the child milk to take, so to avoid the child crying and resorting to tantrums. So the same thing the government should do. After all, the government are the mother of the society and also the mother of the citizens. Another solution to this issue of terrorism is try to counter their ideologies with superior argument. Yes. You find out that when this terrorist group begin to come up with their own problem, begin to come up with their own threat, with their own need, the government should be able to come up with their own argument, explaining to them the reason why they are doing what they are doing. And that is why the government should carry the citizen along. Even if you try to do something good for me, and I don't know the reason why you are doing, or how you are doing, or the motive behind what you are doing, of course, I will look at it as if it is not good for me. That if the government should call them to round table, argue with them, come up with a strong argument, showing them why their ideology is better than what the terrorists are asking for. You find out that some of the terrorists are doing it out of ignorance. They will be able to understand, and they'll be able to shift their ground, and all will be satisfied. And they will, instead, you will be surprised that some of them will even team up with the government to give them the support for the government to be able to achieve their aims and objectives. The next point we have here in solution is keep an eye on radical group of people with conspicuous level of interest in the security of the nation or religious movement. Government should be able to put some group of people or some structure in place, putting an eye to those ones that they feel are the violent group in the society. Let them be able to know of their movement, know their move and whatsoever they are doing, so as to be able to know how to counter any movement that will bring about threat to the security, life and property of the society. And with that, they will early dictate any slight movement that will give birth to terrorist activities in the society, and they'll be able to counter. Now, the last but not the least solution is report suspicious situation by using intelligent reports or information. If the government put the structure that will be monitoring the movement, the activities of those groups that have the potentials of being violent people in the society, and they give the government the information, and the government will work with it swiftly. There should be government that are responsive, that are always taking information and working with it, not being slack. With that, you'll find out that they'll be able to solve the problem. Well, my learners, it has been a very wonderful time having you here, and I will go into just summarizing what we've learned. We've been able to see definition of terrorism. We've been able to understand it. We were able to discuss the types of terrorism, causes of terrorism, effect of terrorism, solution to terrorism. Before I go, I will give you assignment, and you can send your assignment through WhatsApp. You can give me a call. Let me read the assignment. Number 1, Define terrorism and mention 2 types of terrorism. I repeat again. Define terrorism and mention 2 types of terrorism. Number 2, what are the causes of terrorism? Number 2 again, what are the causes of terrorism? Number 3, provide 3 main solutions to terrorism. Number 3, provide 3 main solutions to terrorism. Well, my learners, I will repeat it again for those of you that are jotting the questions and we want to write your assignment and send it to me. Number 1, listen, I will take it gradually. Number 1, define terrorism and mention 2 types of terrorism. Define terrorism and mention 2 types of terrorism. Did you get that? Let me go to number 2. Number 2, what are the causes of terrorism? What are the causes of terrorism? Did you get that? Let me go to number 3. Number 3, provide 3 main solutions to terrorism. Provide 3 main solutions to terrorism. Well, my learners, you can send your answer through this number, through the WhatsApp, or give me a call. The name again is Ruth Tanko Godwin. Ruth Tanko Godwin. The number is 080-240-40570. I take it again. Ruth Tanko Godwin. 080-240-40570. I must read well, stay at home, stay safe. Corona is real. Please stay at home and read your books. Till we meet again. Thank you.